Well, Happy New Year. Father Francis here. And today we're talking about the Epiphany. And we're going to talk about that in just a moment. But before we begin, still want to give you a little update on my TSC Global Challenge. This week was week 5. And we'll roll the little videos here, and perhaps one over there. There we go. Okay. And I have to say that this week I was very, very sanguine about my results. This is only week 5. It's a 10-week course. I did it this past spring. I did it for the first time. And I have to say that on week 5 of this particular challenge, because I have been maintaining my health and fitness, I'm doing a lot better in this week 5 than I did my very first week 5. So again, you know, building strength and getting healthy is cumulative, and if you keep at it over a course of time, you know, you give yourself that gift of time, believe it or not, you know, you're going to obtain some good, healthy, positive results. So again, if 2015 is a year that you've been, you know, kind of thinking about, you know, maybe I should try to, you know, look at my health and maybe take a better inventory of that, and, you know, try to, you know, get some strength and some mobility back. You know, maybe you've lost some of that due to the creeping of the years, the decades have not maybe been kind to you, or vice versa. Maybe you haven't been kind to the decades. A little bit of both, huh? So again, just letting you know that you know, it is possible. It is possible to, you know, take stock, you know, take an inventory and take action to have a better experience of life in your own frame, if you will. You know, this past week, I've got to be honest with you, I'm a little bit surprised that I did as well as I did this week, because I have to say, over the holidays, I think I have indulged a little bit in some, you know, not so sinful pleasures, but again, you know, a little bit of ice cream and some ginger cookies. I don't know why this year, ginger cookies for me were, I don't know, there was just something about ginger cookies, and I just love them. Wow. They just taste like Christmas to me. They taste like, you know, the holidays, you know. So anyway, did a little, I wouldn't say overindulge, but I did indulge, you know, and it's okay to, and any kind of a lifestyle change, any kind of a, if you will, you know, kind of a dietary regime that you're following. Again, I don't like to say diet per se, but a way of eating, a way of life. You know, it's okay to periodically enjoy good things in life. I saw an interesting video just last year about this same time. There's about a couple of young brothers who came from the Middle East, and they discovered American fast food. Yep, you know, good old Mickey D's and Taco Bell and you name it. Now again, I'm not here, and they weren't really there to advocate, you know, trying to adopt a quote-unquote fast food, health food diet. That wasn't really their point. But what they were trying to say is that in America, we are a land of excess, if you will. We're a land of great abundance. And he said, you know, hey, one of the things that they said in their little video documentary about, you know, lifestyle and weight loss and dieting and even strength training, they said, you know, Americans, they don't truly enjoy what they eat. You know, they overeat everything, you know, to some extent, but they don't, they miss out on the true enjoyment. So they show these guys going to McDonald's of all places, and not just, you know, wolfing it down, but savoring almost every bite and saying, it tastes good to us. We like the flavor of this food. It is yummy, but we're enjoying it. And at first I kind of thought, well, yeah, sort of. But how many times do we just kind of eat, you know, in kind of a utilitarian kind of way? You know, we're just kind of going through the motions. We're not really engaging in it. We might, you know, engaging and investing in quality meals that we truly enjoy. So anyway, that was just something that I picked up last year. This today we're talking about the Epiphany, and again, it does tie in, I think, with the concept that was in week 5 TSC Global Challenge was commitment. Commitment. And I started thinking about that because, there are times, whether it's my exercise life or my, priestly life or just life in general, that, let's face it, some days you wake up and you just say, I just want to stay in bed. I don't feel good. Even people that work out, even people that eat healthy, there are still days that you just don't feel like, greeting the world, let's be honest. And sometimes you'd rather just not engage life. You'd kind of like just want to turn it on autopilot or just kind of maybe, park it in the garage, close the door, turn out the lights, and please leave me alone. But what we learned today in the Epiphany is something really wonderful. And it has to do with commitment. And that is, even when you don't feel like doing something, that's where it really gets to, you discover, you kind of, if you will, you unearth your level of commitment in something. And so what I'm talking about is, sometimes there are times, just yesterday, just this morning, I didn't want to have to get up and, do the TSC 300 challenge today. I just didn't want to have to do that. It's cold. Now here in Northern California, we call 56 degrees cold. That's t-shirt weather in Minnesota, okay? Or Michigan, even if we got down to like 42, that's still t-shirt weather in Michigan and Minnesota and places like that. But here in good old California, that temperature can be just a little bit foreboding, and you're kind of like, ooh, and you don't want to go out and run. You don't want to go and do these things because you're not feeling all your optimal, and you're not feeling, But the commitment comes in when you say, I'm gonna do it anyway. Now, what does that got to do with the Epiphany? Well, the Epiphany is interesting because the Magi had been studying, probably for all their lives. They were knowledgeable men. They were able to read words, and they were articulate. They were literate, and they probably studied this phenomenon about the Christ, or the newborn babe in Bethlehem, and they knew from their, if you will, their book learning that something in Bethlehem was going to happen. But when it finally began to actually happen, what did they do? Did they sit back at home in their libraries and, pour themselves some Earl Grey and kind of say, oh, isn't this fascinating? Isn't this amazing? No. They were ready to the point that they were committed to now go. They were going to put action now into this understanding that they had, this revelation that had been, granted to them through their erudition and their study. But now it isn't just about knowing a fact, it's about truly now committing yourself to discovering this truth for yourself. And I think in some ways a lot of us, whether we look at the faith this way, our own personal health and fitness this way, there's a sense where we can kind of dabble in it to a point of saying, well, I'm reading all these books. And that's great. Knowledge does help us to unlock certain things in our life. I believe that. But it's only when we take the knowledge and we put it into action. You've got to do that. You've got to have that action piece. If you don't, it just never works out. For years, in my last 20 years, I would sit there and every New Year's, I want to make a resolution, and say, oh gosh, I'd like to lose weight, I'd like to get in shape. But there was no commitment. That commitment piece just wasn't there. And the commitment piece shows up when it's hard, when it hurts, when it's cold, when you're kind of wanting those extra ginger cookies or that extra piece of apple pie or chocolate cake, and you go, no, I've already had enough, thank you very much. Or it's just I need to I've been sitting watching too many reruns of Downton Abbey, and I need to get off my keister, and I need to go for a walk, but it's cold outside. Well, bundle up a little bit extra and go for that walk, and the same thing is true with our faith. Sometimes it's not just enough to have good catechesis. It's important. Don't get me wrong. Good catechesis, you got to have it. But catechesis only leads us to praxis. Okay? In other words, now how are we going to live out this understanding that we have? How are we going to make that real? How are we going to bring our how are we going to enflesh that in our life? You know, how am I going to make this visible now in my life? You know, 2 years ago I started a journey. I was 270 pounds and, you know, I was obese. I was sick. You know, my doctor kind of shook his head and like, you know, buddy, if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be here very much longer. So 2 years ago, it was sort of like, you know, I had to really start and think about it. And some of the things that helped me, maybe I'll talk about this more later in the new year, is some good old Catholic fashioned fasting. You know, that was kind of the kickstart of that. Fasting and walking were the two things that, you know, really jump-started my health and my transformation 2 years ago. And it was simple things, simple things, nothing complex, nothing, you know, I had to, you know, I didn't even have to sign up for a gym, in fact. I you know, didn't even have to do anything like that. I just, you know, took what knowledge I already have. I think a lot of us already have enough knowledge to start something that's going to make a real profound impact. And the thing that makes the difference is commitment. And that's what we see in this Feast of the Epiphany. This is what we see in the Magi's response to this great revelation of God. They went, you know, they put feet to their prayers and to their understanding, and they made it reality for them. Okay? Hope you got something out of that this week. We'll see you next week. God bless you, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen.